RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are live for a Thursday night live stream. Excited to be back to share more insights as to what's going on in this current monetary system as it's coming to an end and we're being introduced or groomed for something else. So, that being the case, welcome to the live stream. My name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk. Excited to be back for another one. And I want to definitely acknowledge those that are tuning in. So feel free to let me know where you're watching from in the chat. And I would definitely love to acknowledge your presence and welcome you into the live stream. And so I noticed that my thumbnail to the video is not showing up. So that's very interesting in of itself. But I anticipate starting in September, a lot more censoring and crackdowns of what's happening with the alternative narrative. But welcome to the live stream. Let's talk a little bit. Okay, so let me check in, and then we want to talk about, of course, last night we were talking about cash, and tonight we're going to talk about the equivalent of cash with the digital dollar, aka the Fed coin, which is already in the works, as if like we were not expecting that. But Solo says, good evening, Mike and RTD family. Digital dollar incoming sooner. Very true. Daryl, how you doing, my friend? King D, the New York Redneck. We got Excalibur, Chauncey Man, 2K5, JB, Chester from Ecuador. How you doing, Chester from Ecuador? Thanks for tuning in, my friend. How are things down in your neck of the woods? Curious to find out. We got Frizzo. And so the Fed coin is garbage. Yes, it's garbage, but I want to share some stuff with you that will kind of put it into perspective as to how it will be overwhelmingly well received once it's officially launched, because it will not come in a smooth manner. It's going to come after some type of crisis, and I imagine it's going to be the banking crisis, i.e., the credit crunch, credit freeze that it's on the way. So we're going to get through that a little bit today. Got two articles I want to share and highlight more of, but yeah, so not surprised at all. That fact that they are already well into the digital currency push. They just want to make it appear as if it's new to us. And so the article talks about, the Federal Reserve is testing and working on a hypothetical digital currency equivalent to cash. But there's a couple snares or hangups that they're going to experience when it comes to just how far their financial jurisdiction actually goes when it comes to expanding the Federal Reserve Act charter and venturing into a whole nother form of possible currency that's not a part of the original agreement in regards to just the Federal Reserve notes being the primary instruments that they were allowed to create, and also the digital equivalents of those. So there might be some hangups as what they're trying to portray it as possibly being. But once the real crisis actually hits, which we talked about last night, which is going to be the debt-based currency situation that's going to be triggered in the banking sector, once that gets down and goes full steam ahead, I don't think it'd be a problem rushing anything through Congress and getting it signed by the president. So, but anyway, how's everybody doing? And so Jonah says Chainlink is going crazy. Yeah, I noticed that. And so I think I've noticed more so, like never before, a real mainstream push by a lot of big corporations, hedge funds, money managers, you name it. They're, all very excited and getting into the cryptocurrency space, assuming that they've gotten the heads up as to where everything is going and how they want to definitely be out of an old dying system, especially the equities markets, because even Warren Buffett indicator says that the equity markets is way over bubbled. It's way over overpriced, and it's bound for correction. So I'm assuming that's amongst many other things. So we will definitely get into that. What's next? Johnny Deep, man, that's a good one. Okay, so let me stop rambling, and I will get into tonight's discussion. Then, as always, open up so you guys can share your thoughts on it. And then we'll go back and forth a little bit, have some fun with it, and just dissect what they are going to roll out in the next couple of months, definitely. And so here's an article I came across, and then I got another article from Zero Hedge that dives even deeper. But it says the Fed says it's developing an experimental digital currency. And so it's very detailed. Well, it's not necessarily, it's not as detailed as the other article I want to talk about. And so basically, in a nutshell, it says the Federal Reserve on Thursday announced it is building and testing a hypothetical digital currency equivalent of cash. Says the goal of the program is to enhance the Fed's understanding of digital currency, said the Federal Governor Lael Brainard in a speech to a conference on innovation sponsored the San Francisco Bank as of today. It says Brainard went to great pains to stress the central bank is not poised to issue a digital dollar. It says, quote, a separate policy process involving thorny legal questions would be needed if the Fed ever wanted to use a digital currency. The central bank has not made a decision to even start such process. Okay, sure. You haven't started it, but yet you're experimenting with it. So yada, yada, yada. And so I want to go to the next article here. So this gives a lot more detail as to exactly what's going on and how there's a possibility of a new bond or a new type of instrument being created by the Federal Reserve, and then for the most part issued or given back to the federal government, and then in exchange that will give them the authority to deposit digital dollars or whatever it might be named directly to your phone. And so that's some of the basics of what's going on here. But here's an article from Zero Hedge. It goes into a lot more greater detail, and I can thumb through it and give you the whole shebang, but I'll rather put this in the chat so you can read it more for yourself. I'll just skim through it and go over some of the nuts and bolts of it. But everything pretty much highlighted in black is the key points of the article here, so I'll touch on it briefly. It says, what do you see here? Let me go down here. It says the punchline is, it is important to understand how the existing provisions of the Federal Reserve Act with regard to currency issuance apply to a CBDC, and whether a CBDC would have legal tender status depending on the design. And so that's just one of the many angles they're going to have to address with Congress when it is put before them, which it will. I think a lot of the information that's given now is more so just laying the groundwork and letting it be known that they're working on something that's already probably ready. And we need to iron out the logistics as well as the details of the original charter, which never incorporated the idea of going solely or issuing a whole new line of currency in the form of a rebranded digital version of the Federal Reserve note. And so the question that they put forth is, how will the legal tender status play out? Because assuming once this digital dollar or Fed coin is rolled out, you're going to have the Fed coin, which will be that next issuance of currency that will be utilized through a smartphone, but you're also going to have currency in the form of paper notes still available. But then as a result of those two mediums of exchange right there, the biggest issue that they're going to run into, or which would probably trigger this, will be the fact that the too big to fail banks at that point, or as well as the commercial banks, will probably be in a straight catastrophic mode of all times. They'll probably be, that's where we'll probably start talking about the bail-in process, or just the fact you might get locked out your bank account type of talk and whatnot. So at that point, they're going to have to, that's the ultimate crisis that we're all anticipating that will be coming down the line sometime, especially as all this banking stuff unwinds, as I mentioned several days ago. But yet they're going to have something ready to go. And that's why I think, as it's going to get into more detail down here, is that all those fine details that were never even considered 107 years ago when the Federal Reserve Charter was created has to now be addressed. And there will not be enough time to address these issues if stuff is in a straight up crises mode. So I'd imagine whatever is put forth by the Federal Reserve, barring some type of Treasury intervention or Trump dismantling of the Fed or whatever might come about, but in between now and then, they're going to be basically positioning themselves as the saviors of the population. Because imagine if the banks go down, that means your credit cards, your debit cards will not be accessible for you to utilize to withdraw funds at the amount that you might want to, or at that point there might be some type of cash restrictions, or as I always mention, that eventually they're going to start dialing back on accepting cash as they further the removal of cash. And so there'll be some cash in circulation still, of course, because you can't take the trillions upon trillions of pieces of papers out there floating around out of circulation, but you can definitely begin putting more of a penalty on the users of cash by, i.e., charging them funds, charging them some type of tax, which was once again in the IMF's little white paper on how to operate in a negative environment. And so the further we go into negative territory and inflation picks up, there's going to be some need for equivalence of this magnitude. So, okay, it says here the Federal Reserve has not made a decision whether to undertake such a significant process. So, question is, so what would prompt the Fed to undertake this significant policy process? Why another crisis? Of course, it says for those that, whatever. Okay, so there's more here I can go through. All this stuff right here highlighted in black goes a lot deeper. But here is one of the things that I want to touch on. And so a recession-ish insurance bond is what was kind of being bounced back and forth amongst these economists here as something that the Federal Reserve or the United States government can issue and then basically unload them directly to the Federal Reserve. And unloading them to the Federal Reserve, let me see, I can actually show you guys here. There was a statement here. It says, as Potter then in elucidates, it says, it said it took Congress too long to get money to the people, and it's too clunky. We need a separate infrastructure. The Fed could buy the bonds quickly without going to the private market. On March 15th, they could have said interest rates are now at zero. We're activating X amount of bonds, and we'll be tracking the unemployment rate. If it increases above this level, we buy more. The bonds will be on the asset side of the Federal Reserve balance sheet. The digital dollars in the people's accounts will be on the liability side. And so it says here, the Fed will then activate the securities and deposit the funds digitally in household apps. And so there you have a game plan that appears to be well thought out and sitting there waiting for some type of crisis to activate the, as it says here, the recession insurance bonds or recession bonds. What was it called? The recession insurance bonds. And so a whole nother form of a debt instrument that Congress could immediately give approval to and say, what's 1 or 2 trillion worth of recession insurance bonds to then put on the Federal Reserve liability side, and then they can issue now a new form of an asset out to the people called digital dollars directly to your phone. So there you have it, somewhat of a simple layout of what's in play. And all it takes is that ideal crisis to get that ball rolling there. And there you have it, the introduction of the digital dollar directly to your phone. Now, the question will it be a Treasury style app or will it be a Federal Reserve style app that will be on your phone? So that's just something we should all consider. But that is the introduction of that will be the not the complete transformation into the digital world, because that's just to get things started. And then once it's well in play, people understand how it operates and it has all the legal stamping of a new legal tender. Then at that point, we're going to get into the cryptocurrency revolution, because once again, you're going to have the Federal Reserve centrally controlled digital unit that is legal tender. And then you got competition and all the things that they definitely will have to address. So, but anyway, enough of me ranting. I wanted to just lay that out. And so for those that are tuning in, Federal Reserve has made it official that they are working with, and actually it goes into more detail in this article here, with some digital or some teams at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in a multi-year effort to test and to build a hypothetical digital currency. And so once again, once it hits this type of news here, it's already old news. So it's good to say the coin is already ready to be rolled out. It's just a matter of when. And so, all right. So with that being the case, wanted to lay that out there. Let's talk a little bit. What's on your mind? Give me your thoughts on this. So where do we go from here? So with this information being given here, do you think it will come as a result of another crisis? of a greater magnitude, of course, and I'm referring to the banking crisis. And so had a chance to actually watch another interview with Alistair McLeod, and he was saying that according to how everything is lining up as to how he sees it, he's basically saying that with all the losses that's being taken upon the in the banking sector, he says that it's maybe, he can probably see 2 or 3 weeks. We could be 2 or 3 weeks away from some type of domino effect in the banking sector that leads us to that next crisis. So just something to consider. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing, Mike? It's Kenny from California.
Kenny from California. How you doing, my friend? What are your thoughts on this digital dollar Fed coin situation? Is it coming this year or next year, you think?
I think it'll come around early next year. Reason being is because the Fed funds futures, they anticipate a negative rate by April of 2021. So I figure if they want to go negative to kind of enhance spending and to fix what's going on with the economy, they would have to encourage spending. So you have to go negative, but they can't go negative because people will go to the bank and take their money out, and they'll be charged negative interest rates.
Right.
So that's why, like you've been saying the past couple months or past month about how we have a coin shortage, which is BS, and then also because of COVID, we're not accepting dollars. So they're working their way into going digital through just credit cards, and then it's going to go into the currency because obviously they don't want bank runs because that would be horrible for them.
Yeah.
So you can't do a bank run on your digital currency because that is the currency.
Right. Very true. Now, one of the biggest problems is eventually, there's, I don't know what the M2 is right now. I lost track of it. I'll look it up in a minute, but there's, 30 trillion dollars worth of so-called assets within the banking sector in of itself, with maybe 2-3 trillion actual physical paper now. And so my question will be, will they transfer those units into the app through the Federal Reserve, or after the crisis with all those bank funds that are CDs and all those products and savings and deposits, will that be entrapped in that old system, and you get the equivalent of that on your Fed through your Fed app? Because I don't think they're gonna transfer over equally.
Yeah, that's a great point. I really don't know. I mean, obviously, I feel like I'm kind of skeptical that they will do the right things for us. I feel like if anything, they're going to benefit the banks.
Yeah.
Because the Federal Reserve is nothing but banks. So I really don't know what they'll do, but I'm assuming that it'll be something that's negative towards us.
Yeah.
I guess a better question would be, is this bullish or bearish for precious metals if we go to a digital currency?
Definitely. Well, I would imagine, because this is just one particular avenue we're talking about, not all the other issues out there, the unclaimed, the promises, the retirement, the pension. So all those funds, I think, will be rushing towards something tangible. So I see it being continuously bullish for the metals as well as cryptos in general until we get to that, next phase of, the war between central and decentralized, digital currency. So I think it's going to be good for gold and silver, my friend.
Because I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I followed your advice. I stacked up super heavy. I don't have much fiat, so hopefully all this comes true.
Yeah, well, we'll see, my friend. But definitely, it's better to be heavy than to be light on your toes and blowing away with the wind as all this stuff comes through, man. So I appreciate you for calling in.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, be good. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on? It's Miles calling from NY.
Miles, how you doing, my man? What's on your mind tonight? What are your thoughts on this digital currency situation? Is it this year, next year, or what?
I'm good. I'm kind of off topic tonight,
okay,
man. I'm going back like 2 or 3 topics ago.
Okay.
I just want to let you know also, they are not sending out alerts for your videos. They trying to circumvent. A couple of my people also told me the same thing.
Yeah.
We're not getting them. They're not showing up. We had to unsubscribe, subscribe. So, the algorithm, man, you might be getting a little too close to home.
Yeah.
But I want to give you a word, man, because I know you was looking for a title of what's going on.
Okay, go ahead.
And, we went through the Great Recession. We went through the Great Depression. This one is called the Great Declension. And this describes exactly what we're going through.
Okay, so you say the Great Declension?
Declension.
Declension.
Yes, the declension.
Declension.
Because
Okay.
it describes the degenerates, like our downfall as a country and all the things that led up to it. You know, and I believe that captures it in a nutshell. And also because it goes with the flow, man. But hey, I want to take one other thing.
Yeah,
man.
go ahead.
When they say that our future generations are going to be paying for it, you know, and paying for the debt, I think they kind of mean that literally. If you look at the history of this country, our labor laws are real relaxed.
Yeah.
Up until recently, you know.
Yeah.
And if you go to other countries, you see children working. It's getting to the point now where now kids aren't going to be in school. They aren't going to be getting that traditional sense of education. They're going to become more skilled workers, more skilled laborers, picking up what mom and pop still have left of what they know.
Yeah.
I think you see in about a generation or so that you're going to see the children going out and working, and the parents are going to have to do that in order to survive. You know, the kids don't go out and work too; they just not going to eat, and you're going to see a lot of them laws getting real relaxed. You know, those child worker laws and labor laws and things like that.
Yeah,
school, I think, done with that. I'm just being like the way they're structuring that and you know, rolling that out. I don't think that that's going to be something lasting long. Come flu season, you're going to see everything shut down again. You know, they're not going to know what it is. They're going to say, oh, it's COVID, it's this, it's that, or the bear flu. They're going to say whatever it is, but they're not going to have a clue of what's going on. But they're just going to shut it down anyway, regardless of whether it is or it ain't. They're just going to spin it off on that. Right. So, you know, but that's just my take. But the declension, DECLENSION, you look that up, you'll see that, you know, it basically captures the essence of what's happening to us now.
Bet,
you know, we're wrong.
Bet, okay.
Again, man.
Sounds good. Appreciate you calling. Do me a favor. Put that type all that in the chat so I can definitely I'll probably you know talk further about that. So I appreciate you for mentioning that.
I appreciate what you're doing, man. Keep on going.
I appreciate you. All right, be good. Yes, sir. Yeah, man, that's a great thoughts there. And so Debt and Regret from Australia, I believe it says, on my way to the bullion dealer now to get another 1 ounce gold Canadian maple before it launches to the moon from, okay. So I wonder, so what's the price, Debt and Regret? What's the price right now of 1 ounce of gold in Australia? I'm curious. I know that, you know, you guys were already at all-time highs well before now, but curious to find out what they're hitting for in your neck of the woods. Hello, caller. What's your name? I'm doing good. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Ricardo from Texas.
Ricardo from Texas. What are your thoughts, man, on this digital currency situation this year, next year, or what you think?
Oh, it's definitely going to be by the end of this year. For you know, the news been on the internet that the banks got the full go ahead when it comes to digital currencies.
Yeah.
And with that, it you know, they're already pushing it quicker than they want to because these other countries are definitely making it happen. And just to touch on the simple fact that the dude talking about education, if you don't have Wi-Fi, if you can't qualify for Wi-Fi, your 15-year-old or your 14-year-old will have to get out there and work.
Yeah. But think, well, okay, so to us, that is foreign. It's unheard of because we've had the privilege of living so good for so long as a result of having the reserve currency and being able to export debt and import goods that has gave us a lifestyle here that is unparalleled to any other country for the most part. And so just think about this, you know, any other country, second world status, if you go below the equator, whether it's, I've never been to Africa yet, but Central America, South America, that's how they operate in that region. So you got the parents work, and it's unfortunate that, you know, you got to choose between feeding the entire family, which you might need help in a distressed economy, or education for your kids. And it's unfortunate that, you know, you go down to any country in the Central American area, you see kids at the begging for food or doing magic tricks or flipping, and so, you know, and so it's unheard of here, but it's common in every other place primarily. So that's going to be the downgrading of our country from the first world to the second, or, you know, God forbid, third world status. But that's just a downgrade of life and an adjustment with everything that we consider normal, if it gets to that point.
Well, one thing for sure, people that cannot adapt, they're not going to make it. You know, the people down there in the Dominican Republic, I see a lot of YouTubers down there in the Dominican Republic talk about, you got 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds still in like the 10th grade, you know, and it's bad.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you ain't got it, it ain't happening. So this 2-tier system will come, and I got my stepson to change his mind on how to become a essential worker by getting into electrical work, become a electrician.
Yeah.
So this way, he can always get his hustle on. The people that cannot get their hustle on, they're done.
Yeah.
You know, that's the sad part of it. And people in America, if you if you don't know about the struggle, if you don't know how to get your hustle on, you better learn quick. That's all I got to say.
I appreciate you, my man. Get your hustle up. Good one, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. I'm going.
You too. Yes, sir. Got to know how to get your hustle on. So, Lamar, Glenn, I appreciate the love offered to the channel. It says, if we go digital, how would one go about changing banks? Okay, so that's kind of a toughie right there, because once again, we don't know exactly how they're going to roll this out or what their plans are. But I believe that we're going to have a some type of crisis in this current and the old banking model. Ideally, the fractional reserve banking model is becoming problematic, i.e., banks are not profitable in zero or negative territory because they really can't grow as much. And so once the Federal Reserve is done propping them up and bailing them out, they're going to probably enforce or activate that bail-in policy that's in the Dodd-Frank Act. Therefore, I don't really think we'll look at banking the same after this next crisis, because according to what the Federal Reserve is working on, is they're working on dealing directly with the public, as opposed to, the Federal Reserve itself is just a front for the too big to fail banks. And the reason we know that is because the too big to fail banks are actually shareholders into the Federal Reserve in a form of a corporation style thing. So I think pretty much once the too big to fail banks have overextended themselves with debt and derivatives and all that stuff like that, they no longer really have to operate on a local level, like having a Bank of America here, or Wells Fargo there, because most of them are shareholders of the Fed. So they can just basically close off all their branches and basically just reap the benefits off of being a shareholder of the Federal Reserve. And the Fed can do business directly to the people for the government and cut out the middleman in a sense, because, hey, checkmate, game is over with, because once the way goes solely digital, that's all she wrote, because that was how they're going to be able to track, trace, and do everything they want to do with us, and also force you to spend and prohibit you from saving as well. So it's hard to encourage people to save right now, because papers, there's a lot of paper tucked away, as well as digital units that people are storing and saving and investing. So once everything goes towards that Fed coin or digital dollar, whatever it's going to be called, they have complete control of the monetary system, hands down. Everything will go through them. You're going to have to deposit through them to any type of financial investment you want to do. So even, unless there's some type of easier way to get into the cryptocurrency industry, you might have to actually go through your app on your Fed app to then download it to some exchange to swap it over to some other type of currency or something like that. So, it's no way of navigating this clearly, but I'd imagine that the current form of banking that we see now will not be around next 2 or 3 years from now. So just my 2 cents. Michael Green Sr., super sticker. I appreciate the love offering to the channel, my friend. Thank you for being a blessing. All right, phone lines are open. Give me a call. Let's talk. I'm curious to find out what else you guys have going on. It says, good living. I wouldn't. Safety boxes are not safe. Yeah, safety deposit boxes, I'd imagine by now everybody realize that that's not something that you want to really count upon being there when stuff hits the fan, because if the doors of the banks are closed like they are now in most places, you won't be able to get in there, and the chance of scheduling an appointment to go into your box would be a little bit too late. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Daniel from Seattle.
I'm sorry, say again.
I'm Daniel from Seattle.
Daniel from Seattle. I'm doing good, my friend. What are your thoughts? Digital currency this year, next year, or what?
I kind of have a different outlook on it.
Okay.
I don't think they're ready. Honestly, I don't think enough chaos happened. I don't think it's going to be this year or next year.
Okay.
I haven't heard much talking about the grand solar minimum from a lot of people.
Yeah.
Or the floods in China.
Yeah.
Right now, especially on the news. But I hear a lot about this political stuff. You know, Black Lives Matter, and, you know, COVID, and all these different things that they're pushing. And usually, my opinion, is when they're not talking about something that's going to be something that kind of pushes people over the brink.
Yeah.
And I think that in China right now, they're going to be starving by the end of this year. And once they start to starve, you know, it's going to affect America too, because with the hurricane season starting to pick up, and they're saying this is the first time it's ever gotten to a J this fast ever. I think we're having some pretty crazy weather coming in. It's going to destroy a lot of food.
Yeah.
And then we're going to see some more. I just don't see enough chaos. I mean, they can try to push all these things right now.
Right.
But there's too many people who are old still in this country that aren't, you know, millennial or younger who would be more apt to it.
Yeah.
So there's going to have to be, I mean, not to be negative, but there's going to have to be a lot more deaths for them to do this, because I don't see the older generation taking any of this really, or most.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and kind of bleak, but it just doesn't seem like there's that much destruction right now.
Right.
I mean, the economy's been destructive my whole life. I was born in 91, and I don't think there's been a good time this whole time. So they can push it out as long as they want to, but when I think about it, there has to be a complete takeover, and for that to happen, there has to be some big game changers coming up here soon. And
which
that's a lot to do in a little bit of time.
Yeah. And so once again, like, you know, apart from having what we've experienced over the last 5 months, you know, and the way it's been thrown at us from all types of angles on the health front, the political front, you got the social side of things, all the chaos rioting. So at this point, I'm open to anything. And of course, I do agree that there's not enough chaos just yet. But I think the banking crisis that a lot of people think is coming as a result of all these closures and bankruptcy, delinquencies, and unemployment. So all those debts that won't be paid is on the balance sheets of the commercial too big to fail banks, which are the best friends to the Fed. So they got to work that out. And as a result of that, if everybody's account was locked out, shut out, or bailed in, that'll be the ideal time to roll out an alternative, because people out of desperation will be willing to take whatever.
I think it'll compound.
Yeah.
You know, like that happening at the same time there's a famine with the war, something like that. Because we're talking about, I think a lot of times people like, I have silver. I just sold all my cryptocurrencies because I feel like they're going to crash. And I sold them about a week before the last crash. There's a lot of indicators. I don't think the stock market's going to keep going up and up and up. It has to crash. For this stuff to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
My opinion, but
but hey, man,
it's going to get a lot more crazy.
I do agree.
I think that people aren't going to care about cash or money when they're dying of starvation. It's not going to matter. No one's going to be given. Honestly, I don't think people are going to be trading food for anything because they're going to be starving.
Right.
You know,
which is unfortunate.
So,
but hey, I appreciate you, man. Thanks.
I don't know if it's going to be a big deal. Anyway, thanks.
Well, appreciate your call, my friend. Thank you for sharing those thoughts. All right. Yep. All right. So let me get to this, Mr. Vince Grant, and then I'll take some more calls after this. Says, how are we going to sell our silver for the Fed coin? If they're going to go as far as creating a Fed coin, I could see them outlawing the sale of gold and silver, aka confiscation. Okay. That's something worth talking about there. So how are we going to sell our silver for the Fed coin? And so, and that's where that's the man, the fineness of that question is like, okay, will cash as we know it now still be circulating, and will people actually want to receive that cash as opposed to the Fed coin? Because as I mentioned from the article here, the Fed coin, they're trying to iron out the details of that, of make sure it's legal tender and stuff like that, and all the other stuff that they're, dropping hints at now, pretty much for the government to notice and probably start preparing for. And so I think, that won't be the only, that won't be the only medium of exchange, solely digital. I think there'll still be paper in circulation, because once again, it'll be hard to take paper completely out of circulation. So I think literally, if we once we officially go cashless, it'll be several years from now. And between now and that time, I think metals will reach all-time highs like never before, which people will probably look to get out as well then. So I'd imagine being solely digital well into 2030 and beyond, because cash is going to circulate in the meantime. And as the caller mentioned, like the baby boomers, a lot of those baby boomers, are not necessarily tech savvy to where it's going to take time for the whole using your phone solely to catch on, which would give us time to be able to trade and sell still using paper. And then depending on what you're looking to actually, sell, I see also a part of society where people will look to move weight directly for goods and services, because by that time, when silver surpasses its all-time high, probably before the end of this year, give or take, or next year especially, that will become a topic of discussion on everybody's dinner table, to where more people will be using silver and gold, and therefore people will probably prefer getting paid in weight as opposed to paper or digits, just because of the how fast it's appreciating in value as a result of the destruction of the currency. So I think people will probably transact in silver and gold directly, depending on the size or weight we're trying to buy, and paper will still be around for quite some time. So we'll be able to avoid, in the short term, being able to just only use a Fed coin from our phone. And then also, depending on the cryptocurrency sector, like, you might be able to do some stuff with that. So just my thoughts there, Vince. Hope that helped. Let me know. And then Natural Mama says, please address good living. Let me know further what you mean by that, good living. All right, so I missed some phone calls. I apologize for that. I had to answer that super chat. Let me get this 1 second. All right, let me see here. Here we go. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's Ricardo again. I'm chiming in for the last time for the night before I go to bed.
It's all good, Ricardo. What's in your mind?
Yeah, man, I want people to understand that if they looked over how the United States works, we are the biggest military ever. I'm not talking about our military people in uniform. I'm talking about the simple fact that we got our guns. Mm-hmm. So the whole purpose, point I want to put out there, is that they are going to make us slow burn, mm-hmm. and they're going to make us take us down to the bottom dollar. So everybody who's thinking about holding on to cryptos, hanging on to gold, I think their whole purpose is to slow burn us so that we would have to get rid of the cryptos, mm-hmm. the gold, the silver, and on top of that too, I called back probably a month ago, the simple fact that Lowe's mm-hmm. and Home Depot, man, you can't find no vegetables, pre-grown out there, and the seeds are gone. So I just want everybody to know that this is going to be a slow burn. Yeah. They're going to bring you down. They're not worried about you getting into cryptos or gold and silver, because I truly think they're going to make us have to spend that mm-hmm. to survive. Yeah. And it's pretty open, wide-eyed to me that that's what they're going to do, mm-hmm. because they can't rush us like Australia, martial law. Yeah. New Zealand. A few people of the Mesa have kicked off. Yeah. So I think this is going to be a slow burn. Everybody needs to get prepared for the very, very long haul. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get off the air, and I'm going to listen to what you got to say, and I appreciate your time, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Thanks. Oops, sorry. So, yeah, slow burn. So a long, drawn-out process. And, of course, I do agree with that 100%. And so the question is, how long is slow? How many years? I mean, so just within the last 5 months, we've witnessed, just how uncomfortable change can really be when it's forced upon you. And then you have people out there speaking, not necessarily on our behalf, but speaking as if they're speaking for us in the form of them representing us. And so just like today, Joe Biden, talking about governors making it mandatory to wear masks when you go outside for 3 months. Like, I'm thinking, like, just based upon that stance right there of wearing a mask, like, make all states, all people. I'm thinking like, whoa. So imagine what else we can expect that to be mandatory outright coming from Joe Biden's mouth within the next couple of months if this man was to become president. And that just goes to show how uncomfortable this slow burn will actually be, of which it is true, man. I don't doubt it, man. So it's one of the things where, it's real and it's here, but man, we got to keep pressing forward, man, and navigate these waters as best we can. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's Pete in Colorado.
Pete from Colorado. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, not too bad. This is a fun conversation tonight.
So, digital currency, what are your thoughts on that, man? They already got it ready for us. They just need a major crisis outside of what we've experienced so far, or what? Is it coming sooner or later?
I'll be a pain in the ass and ask you a series of questions.
Okay.
What's easier to lump around, a couple pieces of paper or, some, tonnage or weight?
Was easier to lump around some pieces of paper.
Oh, yeah. What's easier to lump around? Some invisible, digits on the computer screen or some pieces of paper?
Digital blanks on the computer screen because it's effortless.
Okay. So,
yeah,
we're obviously going to, move forward and not backwards. And we'll have a digital currency. But is it all bad? Like, what is the only free market in the world?
The only free market in the world.
There's only one.
Free market. So I'm thinking, when I think of free market, I'm thinking free. The benefit and privilege of still being able to have some cash on hand, having something in your possession that you can trade and create your own market, huh?
What was the free market in the Soviet Union?
I don't know. I wasn't there. Give me a rundown.
It was the black market.
The black market. Okay. Good one.
The Soviet Union was all powerful, but they never came close to crushing the black market.
Yeah.
And then also, how do you buy cigarettes with food stamps?
I'm sure there's somebody out there to be willing to take some food stamps for some cigarettes. I don't know how, but I'm assuming on the black market, as you mentioned, that they have people that's can make that type of stuff happen for you.
Well, yeah, you can just go buy with your food stamps what you can buy, and you can trade it for the cigarettes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So just because there'll be a digital currency doesn't mean that the black market won't exist. It doesn't mean that human ingenuity won't exist.
Good point.
It doesn't mean that there won't be any other way to transact.
Yeah. Yeah. And so one of the problems I see is that when it comes to labor, getting paid and investing, whatever is available down the line for the majority, will all go through that payment processing system at the Fed or Treasury, whoever's going to end up having it at the end of the day. And then them being able to see all your activities, they'll probably be able to somehow penalize you for taking out too much or not putting it certain places, because at that point, your credit score, everything's gonna be linked into some account for you. And so I'd imagine they're going to be very strict on how people interact with that black market. So apart from having other means of exchanging stuff, it's going to be hard to, not impossible. It takes some ingenuity, some creativity, which people will definitely develop, but it's going to come with some penalties for trying to, use their currency in some other form or fashion that tries to go around them. So, we're going to need a parallel currency to go along with that, I think.
I disagree.
You disagree?
People
Go ahead.
always find a way.
Yeah.
There's always a way around everything. There's 7.8 billion people on Earth. People are more creative than you want to believe.
Yeah. I do believe that, though. I do believe that. So, yeah, I hope I'm wrong. And I can definitely, I'm okay with the fact that through this process of change, there will be more creative inventions and opportunities being brought into existence that we were like, we'd have never thought of until having been put in under pressure to have to begin thinking again for ourselves. So, yeah.
Well, thinking for yourself is the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the currency is.
Yeah.
what matters is you offer something that somebody wants.
So, yeah, that's true. Offer some value to someone. Yeah, man.
Also,
yeah.
And the further out away from a densely populated area you are, the less foreign everything I'm saying becomes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I offer a lot of things of value. I have many sources of income. I don't care what the currency is. People will still want what I have to offer.
Yeah. Man, that's one way to reassure you'll always be in high demand or be needed, because as you mentioned, you have multiple ways of, making sure people need your services or goods or whatever else. So Pete, man, I appreciate you, my friend.
Always appreciate you. Like I said, this is a fun conversation today.
Oh, it is. It is. You keep me on my toes, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing.
I will. Be good.
You too. Goodbye.
Hello, Carlos. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Steve calling from California.
Steve from California. What's up, my friend?
Hey, how you doing? Hey, I just wanted to make a comment regarding what one of the callers just said about there's always around something. I would just like to add that there's no way around that Bible.
Yeah. And
that Bible kind of says what it says, and it's a satanic system overall. And all people have to do is, I'll put it this way: why are the streets of Washington D.C. set up in a pentagram? Why is that? I mean, that's something that people can just check automatically. Why are the streets of Washington D.C. set up as a pentagram? And I think the guy who engineered that was a French guy, John Inafant. I forgot how you pronounce his name. But why is the Washington Monument there, which is a phallic symbol from back in Egypt? Why is Albert Pike have a monument there? The same guy who wrote the book Morals and Dogma. Why does he have a monument there? And he worships Satan. These are things that people can just ask themselves.
Yeah.
And I guess the last thing would be, why would there be satanic symbols on the back of our money? I mean, that's not some rogue employee that put that on there.
Right.
Somebody or something has some type of agenda. Now, whether people want to say, I believe in the Bible or I don't, somebody obviously believes in Satan.
Yeah, very true.
And they're following out an agenda. And the last thing I would say is, if you can reach out to this guy, Mike, to try to get him on your show, a guy named Larry Gators. His last name is spelled Gaiter. And I know that you're a basketball guy, so I'll just put it this way: we all know that the world's corrupt and all the rest of that. Anytime you get into big business and you're dealing with these people, these people already know that they're worshiping Satan. They do it outright.
Yeah.
But I'll just put it this way: I know you're a basketball guy, so let's take Kobe Bryant for example. Now Kobe died in a helicopter crash along with his daughter, and all the rest of that. What people don't know is that the following week, Kobe Bryant was suing the pharmaceutical industry. If you didn't know that,
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was suing the pharmaceutical industry, and he was scheduled to go testify the following week. He was scheduled to go testify the following week, and knowingly or unknowingly, and I would hope unknowingly. That's what I would hope, because I was a Kobe fan. I like the game, but I would hope unknowingly. But I'll right after we get off the phone here, I'll send you a thing, and I'll send you a video where the guy breaks it down with names, everything. Yeah. Everything. And if you can post it, I would love to hear the response from this, because he kind of puts Satan right there in your face where you can't deny that. There's people out there that are worshiping Satan right in your face.
Yeah.
And he may have gotten too close to the flame, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
But but his name is Larry Gaiters, Gaiters.
Yeah.
And I'll send you that right after we get off the phone.
Appreciate it, my friend. I see a Larry Gaiters Life Radio right here, so I'll dive in further. So thanks for mentioning that, and also the Kobe Bryant situation. Of course, I questioned his demise. I questioned that whole event anyway, but I didn't know about the pharmaceutical side. So that
They like those they always like those airplane and helicopter accidents.
Yeah.
You remember Ron Brown from years ago? When Bill Clinton was in trouble for the Whitewater, and Ron Brown was a congressman, and they were gonna make Ron Brown the brother. They were gonna make him the scapegoat, and Ron Brown was like, "Oh no, you guys better clear this up, or else you're gonna start singing like he was Luther Vandross." and the next thing you know, Ron Brown dies in a plane accident. They crash into a mountainside, and then they go and find his body and find out he has a bullet hole in the back of his head. They were living in the satanic world, and these things, they're manifesting more and more. Satan's unmasking, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah. No doubt, man. Hey, appreciate you. Thanks for calling.
Anyway, I'll go ahead and let you go, but I'll send that to you right after we get off the phone here.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Yep. Yeah, man. Okay, that was a wealth of information right there in of itself. Okay, I didn't know about the pharmaceutical stuff. That was very interesting, but I definitely question everything. I question the helicopter crash. I mean, just come on now. Can't just fall for that okie doke like that. So I questioned it from day one. Didn't know why, and to find it out if that is the case is like, wow, okay, that started to line up and things make a little sense. So Epstein, of course, I think can't really question that, how he, was taken out. All right, what else is going on here? Let me see here. It says Dwayne Wade. Okay, see the Dwayne Wade braids in his hair are. I did not see that, but Dwayne Wade, I've been watching him as of late, and he's a little different. His little family situation they got there is different too. So, hello, Carlos. Where we calling from?
Hey, pay me money bags, Lane Tech.
Pay me money bags. What we got, my man? How you doing?
I'm all right, man. Say, what makes you think that America is now being sold to another country and revamped?
I wouldn't put it past the fact that could be the case. I mean, I wouldn't say. First country comes to mind is China, but yet I'm not sure what other countries really. The UK is having. So it's possible. Yeah, anything's possible at this point. Well, what do you think?
Who said it had to be one person? It could be 3 or 4 different countries going in on the pie, and it being diversified, and the 3 countries that in the pot all have the same plan.
That could be the case too. So what made you come up? How did you come up with that? What are your thoughts on that? Where does that come from?
Well, I'm ex-military. I've been to war twice. Operation Enduring Freedom. I done fought, and man, it's all when you know your history. Everything is over land, territory. Yet you notice, like, we are one of the major, or the only major so-called land of the free. That's why everything has to be done from outside countries in, and we're the last. It seems like we're behind, but we're the last one to hit it because we still have rights. Other countries really don't have rights. So that's one thing that America misses when they be like the tracking injection thing in your skin. Everything starts freely in nations or in countries that are considered less intelligent than us, so they're subject to the testing and the guinea pig stuff, and it gets a domino effect away from outside in. Look at the video games and the board games that you was raised on when you were a kid. Everything's about territory, and you never can think that is going away. So that can be solved by land. If you don't know who owns what, a good friend of mine told me, I told him, I said, I'm going to stop eating Chick-fil-A. Here's an example. I'm not going to start eating Chick-fil-A because I heard they were this, and the third, and they represented these certain type of entities. So I'm like, he was like, why would you do that? He said, who's going to eat then? I said, well, I'm eating this place, I eat this place. He said, how you know that place, Chick-fil-A, is not in conglomerate and own one of the others that you just said? He said, the point is, you never know because corporations across the board, no matter what country you're in, you have to follow by the same regulations because it's all tied to the monetary system of finances. So whatever the money is, no matter what currency it is, it's all ran by the same people. Territory.
Yeah, that is true, man. And that's where like the structure of the corporations and how they have, you know, entangled themselves globally, and there's no borders when it comes to how they do business. We don't know. I don't know how things go on behind the scenes. I just hear about stuff on the surface. So definitely under the surface, that is a possibility. So we could be just basically being auctioned off right now. And so more stuff to think about.
And for the people that think the high talk is brainwashing, the Bible says a man who travels a lot knows a lot. So I advise you to get from beyond your area code and travel the country and see what goes on in other parts of the world. And then maybe you will be convinced otherwise on actually how your surroundings are being ran. So to those, just educate yourself, man. Watch out for trolls.
Appreciate you, my man. Be good.
All right, Mike.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right. So I see a lot of so Paul Walker, of course, I heard about some stuff with him as well. So somebody mentioned here, Dr. CB. I'm not familiar with who that is. So yeah, it's a lot of wealth of knowledge out here in the chat, man. I appreciate y'all for keeping everybody up on their toes and keeping us all informed. It's always good to go back and forth and to help build each other up, encourage one another, and educate one another, man. That's what it's about. This is a great community. So I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me tonight. So with that being the case, look, we're going to let the dial back, just approaching on our hour point. So as always, I appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. If you've enjoyed the live stream and got some knowledge from it and some actionable steps to take, we definitely know the importance, like now, like never before, to make sure we are definitely getting our calorie game up as well. And so, yeah, it's becoming more evident now and obvious that, you know, as I'm seeing more articles talk about inflation picking up and grocery store prices going up. So, yeah, it's going to be more of a crunch to get calories. So calories will probably become one of the top assets that we will need outside of our faith first and everything else after that. So enough ranting for tonight. Be good, be blessed, be safe, and I will see you guys on the flip side. Peace.